Welcome to a special edition of Firearms Friday. I'm historian Evan Green, and today I'm a guest at the Wyoming Pioneer Memorial Museum in Douglas, which is about 130 miles north of Cheyenne. And with me today is Doyle Evans. Doyle is a jack of all trades here at the museum. They have a very small staff, so he wears a lot of hats. But he's obviously the gun guy, the firearms historian here at the museum. And Doyle, I want to thank you guys again for allowing Dean and I to come up and make these videos.
Well, hey, thanks for coming by.
Some really cool firearms. So what do we have here?
Okay, so this is a Sharps-Hankins Model 1862 Navy carbine. It was chambered in a 52-56 metallic cartridge, which is certainly unusual to the point that neither of us could drag one up from our collections.
Couldn't find it.
It's kind of interesting in a couple ways, I think. It's a single-shot breech loader. And now, it's a Navy model because this model doesn't have it, but you can see there's a kind of a ridge right here up at the end of the barrel.
Oh, it had a cover over the barrel, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It actually had originally a leather cover that went over the entire action, I think.
Wow. To protect from the salt air?
Basically.
In the Navy, wow.
Which maybe in the short term, if you have one of these on USS Chesapeake for the duration of the conflict, would have been okay. Nowadays, most of the ones that you come across that still have the leather cover, the leather cover is shot, and the metal under here is pretty rough too because it's trapped in there, but yeah.
Moisture trapped under it.
This one, fortunately, it's incomplete, as weird as that is to say.
Still a great example, though.
Oh, yeah. Now, what's interesting about this, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, is because it has a really cool lever action that I would like to demonstrate for you.
Okay.
So there's a little nubbin right here that you squeeze and you pull it down, and then it slides forward like that.
Wow.
And then that gives you the opportunity to, I think it actually automatically extracts a shell as well. And then you put a new shell in there, and then you close her up.
Wow.
And then locks in place, and you're ready to go.
Wow. Sharps-Hankins. So was this associated with the Sharps Rifle Company that we've talked about?
It was
before?
designed by the same Sharps.
Christian Sharps, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Designed by the same guy, made by a different operating concern that he set up with this gentleman named Hankins.
Right.
But anyway, this was kind of a footnote in terms of rifles of the Civil War era. There weren't that many made. It didn't see that widespread a service. It was by all means good. It just compared to like a Spencer or a Henry or something like that, it wasn't anything particularly special.
Was there an Army version that didn't have the leather cover?
There were a few Army ones made, and then a few Navy ones may have made it into Army service, which actually leads me into the historical connections that this has to Wyoming.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
For Wyoming.
Yeah. So, in another video, we talk about Red Cloud's War with the Fetterman Massacre, Fetterman Fight.
On the Bozeman Trail.
Well, the next year, in August of 1867, Fort Phil Kearny, which had seen many actions between the Americans and the natives.
Lots of fatalities on the American side.
Oh yeah, a lot. There was one last major engagement on that date, August 2nd, 1867. Basically, the natives under the command of Red Cloud, Crazy Horse, that band, they wanted to get one more really good raid in on Fort Phil Kearny because it was a favorite target of theirs. So they wanted to reutilize similar tactics to what they had used time and time again, use a small decoy force to draw out some Americans, and then use a larger ambush force to try to encircle the American force and then just lay waste to them. It had worked in the past, but they didn't realize maybe that the Americans had kind of learned that was a particular favorite tactic of theirs and had learned fairly well how to counteract it.
Mm-hmm.
By 1867, the wood train guys at Fort Phil Kearny had decided that, we keep coming under attack. We're going to build this kind of a citadel of sorts, kind of a little mini fortress outside of the fort itself. Mm-hmm. This being the wagon box encirclement, I guess. They just took the bodies of wagons off of their chassis, put them in a circle to give them kind of I don't even know what kind of fortification you would call
fairly
it.
Minor fortification, but better than nothing.
Something that could kind of stop some of the slower bullets of the time, something that would definitely help protect you from arrows anyway. Give you something better than just open country.
Right.
So they had built this encampment out a ways from Fort Phil Kearny. The timber train that ran from Fort Phil Kearny to the pinery where they got the timber that they would take back to the camp, to the fort for building fires, building buildings, any number of reasons. Like I alluded to earlier, was a popular target, and on August 2nd of 1867, the Lakota decided to attack like they had so many times before. Mm-hmm. However, one portion of the Lakota contingent, I guess, made the mistake of jumping the gun a little bit and attacking a smaller outpost of woodcutters and killed 3 soldiers, I believe.
Wow.
But the one remaining soldier and 3 civilian woodcutters that were at that little outpost managed to saddle up and make their way back to where the rest of the soldiers were at.
At the wagon boxes.
Yeah, to sound the alarm. So that, and also that detachment of natives of Lakota decided to stop and scavenge for supplies, raid some livestock, which ended up giving the Americans even more time to really get fortified, to get everything built up, so that when they had a pretty good idea that a bigger force of some combination of Lakota or Arapaho were going to come in and attack. They weren't sure how many, when it was going to be, but they were ready. So when a force of several hundred Lakota tried to mount an initial mounted attack, these soldiers and civilian woodcutters, teamsters, any number of civilian contractors, largely armed with repeating rifles now, unlike the single-shot Springfield 1866s that they had during the Fetterman fight, were able to pretty successfully hold the attacking natives off. Mm-hmm. The battle lasted something like 6 hours. Wow. There were only a handful of American casualties, 7 killed, 2 wounded, out of 26 soldiers and 6 civilians. And exact numbers for the Lakota were a little harder to estimate, as was often the case.
They always tried to retrieve their dead and wounded from the battlefield, so hard to get a head count.
Oh yeah, they had an estimated force of between 300 and 1,000 warriors, and between 2 and 60 killed.
Wow.
Most likely on the lower end. There was a dramatic rescue party that was sent out from Fort Phil Kearny to rescue these guys that were at this timber camp, where they responded literally with artillery fire to scare off the attackers and kind of break up the assault, and kind of went in and whisked them out, kind of like a modern special forces kind
rescue
of exfiltration.
Wow.
But yeah, this gun was reported to have been present for that fight at the Wagon Box in some capacity.
Probably in the hands of one of those civilian teamsters or contractors?
That would be my guess.
Probably.
Again, no way for sure. But that is the story that was attached to it by the gentleman who donated it back in the 1920s.
Wow.
So he wouldn't have been that far separated from it. So it's very possible.
Well, it's an interesting gun.
Yeah, one way or another, it is certainly neat, and I'm glad to
And
be
it's
able
a
to show it off.
Sharps-Hankins Navy, and we know it was Navy because there is an indication that at one point the barrel and possibly more of the action was covered in leather.
Yes, sir.
Which seems an odd approach. The butt plate is brass?
It is, as a matter of fact.
Wow, neat.
Yeah.
And that action, thanks for showing that. That was really interesting.
Yeah, that is
How
one
that
of the,
thing works.
yeah, that is one of the coolest actions on a gun that I've ever seen.
And we discussed earlier that I think unusual for this era, it actually has a safety.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
And you can actually, you cock it, and then you can kind of see right here. There's this little raised piece of metal. It would actually slide down, and then that way, when you trip the hammer, it would just block off the firing pin.
Wow.
Which is very rudimentary, but at the same time, how many safeties were there on guns in the 1860s?
I'm not aware of very many at all, or any, but again, an interesting feature.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
was a great story. I appreciate it, Doyle. So, all right, if you have questions about this particular firearm, you should probably contact Doyle here at the Wyoming Pioneer Memorial Museum in Douglas. They have a webpage with contact information. If you want to talk to me about firearms or Wyoming history, I'd be glad to return your phone call. If you reach out to the Wyoming State Museum, leave your name and contact information, and I will get back to you. So, thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support.